This one was a disappointment for me. Not because the game's bad, but because I just don't have enough time to dedicate to it. Megami Tensei is the best RPG the Famicom has seen so far. In fact, I will go as far to say it's the best RPG the Famicom has through at least 1988, and possibly into the 90s. It's a game where I wouldn't mind sitting down and playing it for a few days. But my format means I've got to keep making videos, so I just have to keep going on. Digital Devil Monogatari Megami Tensei is the first in the very expansive Megami Tensei series. There's literally dozens of games and spin-off series that have spun off of spin-off series. It actually originated with a series of novels, and this game is a sequel to those. The story is that brilliant student Nakajima invents a computer that can summon demons. These aren't necessarily demons in the Judeo-Christian mold. They're any and all mythological beings. After 2 adventures where he and his friends had to stop things that he unleashed from destroying the world, Nakajima still hasn't learned his lesson, and this time he's got to deal with Lucifer. Lucifer is making his own computer to get access to the human world. So Nakajima and his friend Yumiko go to Lucifer's pyramid to defeat him. This is the first RPG we've seen on the Famicom that fits into the wizardry mold. Wizardry being one of the 2 big computer RPG franchises of the 80s. It featured 3D dungeon crawls as an environment, and monster battles that were menu-based and featured portraits of the creatures you encountered. Other RPGs we've seen have borrowed wizardry's combat, but not its first-person dungeon crawl. Megami Tensei goes even further than that. It uses some of wizardry's interface elements too, like having the party's status always displayed below the action. And I've got to say, Megami Tensei is a better wizardry than wizardry. We'll actually see the Famicom port of wizardry in a couple of months, but it's not as smooth or as well structured as Megami Tensei is. This was a game that was both learning from more recent RPG designs, and was skillfully implementing them on a limited system. The resulting game is technically impressive. The big portraits, the snappy movement, the thoughtful dungeon layout. As someone who came to this game a bit backwards, having played the Shin Megami Tensei reboot of it, it impresses me how well implemented everything is. A perfect example, the very first spell you get is Map. For just 2 of your magic points, you get to see the entire layout of the level. And since you don't have anything else to do with your magic points right then, why not use it to help you get your bearings? Another great thing, when you start the game, you design the characters. There are 5 stat points, they all start at 5, and you get 15 points to distribute among them. Now there is a trap option here. The 5 stats are Strength, Intelligence, Constitution, Speed, and Luck. Intelligence is only used for spells, and Nakajima never gets spells. Yumiko will be your consistent magic user, so she does need more intelligence, but she needs a wider distribution of stats than Nakajima does. She'll be hitting people from time to time, too. So you've entered the pyramid. The first thing you need is equipment. It is an RPG after all. The top floor of the pyramid is a small town. As you explore the town, you'll find a chest. That'll give you your starting money. And then you'll have to go to this shop to buy weapons and armor. Buy the armor first. You get a little bit of cash back from your clothes. And if you don't get that cash back, you can't afford to fully equip everyone. I'd get both of them combat suits, Nakajima a set of nunchucks, and Yumiko a jackknife. Another point of interest in the town is this shop. This will be your primary source of healing until you get magic that can take care of that. One more thing in town is this monk. He gives you your password. There's no battery save in Megami Tensei. Now let's go past this guard and find a way down. The pits aren't actually pits. They'll give you the choice of going up or down them. The real dungeon starts on the second floor down. You'll want to explore around a bit, grind up both types of currencies you'll need, and get some experience. A useful thing to know is that passing through doorways is what triggers an encounter check. So when you go through an arch, that's when you might encounter something. Alright, we've got a monster. At the beginning of every combat round, you get the choice to fight, run away, or use your computer. And using the computer is where things get interesting. You could summon, but that requires that you have a monster ally. And to get those, you have to use the second option. You have to talk to who you're fighting. All of the monsters have distinctive personalities and conversations that they can have with you. Some of them won't talk unless you isolate them or weaken them first. Some want to know your opinions on things. Others want to be bribed. Some might join you just for the fun of it. Once you have a monster ally, you can summon it at the cost of Maka, a particular currency that only demons use. You can have up to 3 party members out with you at once. Now here's the thing. The early stages of Megami Tensei are hard. You'll want to recruit monsters early on, but it's tough to do. It's also tough to get enough money to keep your team healthy, and anything going wrong is probably going to be a game over. On my 4th attempt, I managed to level up once. Now this does get easier. A team will make sure that your human characters aren't constantly getting pounded, and a lot of the demons are really only good as cannon fodder. When you start finding your demons to be ineffective, there's another trick you can do. Visit this shop in town, and you can fuse demons together to make new ones. This is the way you keep your team rolling, even though you can't make demons that are higher level than you. I don't have much more to say about Megami Tensei since I couldn't make a whole lot of progress. It's a game that's been remade a few times. I played it as Kyoyaku Megami Tensei on the Super Famicom, and that version has some quality of life improvements. And as for sequels, well, it's a big series. There's only one more Famicom game, though. So I think my enthusiasm for Megami Tensei is pretty obvious at this point. This is the first time where I felt that an RPG on the Famicom was bringing something new to the genre. It's also a good-looking game, and I even love the music. Megami Tensei is an impressive game, and I can see how it launched a franchise.